The world has never been louder than it is right now. In 2026, we are living in an era of performance living. We are told that if it wasn't captured, it didn't happen. If it wasn't posted, it doesn't count. If you aren't announcing your goals to the world, you aren't manifesting them. But while the crowd is busy shouting for attention, a different kind of elite is emerging. They are the ones you don't see on your feed. They don't announce their 4,000 a.m. wake-ups. They don't post their gym progress every morning. They don't share their blueprint before the building is standing. They are moving in silence. Welcome to the silence strategy. This isn't just about being quiet. It's about tactical privacy. Every time you tell someone your big goals, your brain releases a hit of dopamine, the same dopamine you were supposed to use to actually do the work. By talking about it, you've already tricked your mind into thinking you've won. You feel satisfied, and your drive vanishes. The silence strategy is the art of starving your ego to feed your results. It is the realization that a private victory is 10 times more stable than a public one. When you build in the dark, no one knows where to strike. When you win in private, you don't owe anyone an explanation. Over the next 10 chapters, we are going to dismantle the need for likes and replace it with the need for legacy. We are going to build a fortress around your mind, your money, and your future. It is time to stop performing and start becoming. Quiet the noise. Close the door. Focus. Your new life begins in the shadows. Chapter 1. The Noise of the World. Why your greatest enemy is external validation. The digital panopticon. We live in an era of unprecedented noise. It is a constant humming vibration that follows us from the moment we wake up until the moment we close our eyes. In 2026, the world has become a digital panopticon, a prison where the walls are made of glass and everyone is both the prisoner and the guard. We are told to build in public, to share the journey, and to document the process. But there is a hidden tax on this transparency. Every time you broadcast your intentions, you leak the very energy required to execute them. The noise of the world isn't just the notifications on your phone or the headlines on your feed. The true noise is the internal chatter that asks, what will they think of this? Will they applaud? Will they validate my existence? This is the greatest enemy of the sovereign commander. External validation is a drug. It provides a high that feels like success, but it contains zero nutritional value for your soul. It is a hollow victory. The dopamine deception. To understand why validation is your enemy, we must look at the biological mechanics of the human brain. When you announce a goal, let's say you tell your friends you're starting a new business or hitting a new fitness milestone, your brain receives a premature hit of dopamine. This is the identity signal. Because people congratulate you and acknowledge your ambition, your brain chemically concludes that you have already achieved the goal. The tension, the healthy, productive stress that drives you to work late into the night, is suddenly released. You feel satisfied. You feel seen. And because you feel seen, you stop being hungry. This is why so many big projects die in the conversation phase. You talk the dream into existence, so you no longer feel the need to work the dream into reality. The noise has stolen your drive. The mirror of the masses. When you seek validation, you hand over the keys to your internal kingdom to the most unreliable source on earth, the masses. The crowd is fickle. The crowd is distracted. If you base your self-worth on the likes, comments, or nods of approval from others, you have built your house on sand. If the crowd can make you feel like a king today, they can make you feel like a peasant tomorrow by simply withdrawing their attention. This creates a state of reactionary living. You stop making moves because they are right for your future. You start making moves because they are popular in the present. You become a puppet of the algorithm. You become a character in someone else's story rather than the author of your own. The concept of the second self. The silence strategy requires you to kill your second self. The second self is the version of you that exists only for others to see. It is the curated, polished, and performative ego that seeks to prove its worth to the world. The first self, the true self, is the one that works when the camera is off. It is the version of you that grinds in the dark, that fails in private, and that learns in silence. In the modern world, the second self has become a parasite, draining the life force of the first self. We spend more time maintaining our image than we do building our substance. To win in 2026, you must starve the parasite. You must become comfortable being misunderstood. You must become comfortable being invisible. The strategic value of invisibility. There is immense power in being underestimated. When the world doesn't know what you are working on, they cannot sabotage it. When they don't know your goals, they cannot project their own fears and insecurities onto you. Every person you tell your plan to is a potential leak in your fortress. Even well-meaning friends can accidentally kill your momentum with a realistic doubt or a skeptical look. By moving in silence, you maintain 100% control over the narrative until the results are too large to ignore. Invisibility is not a weakness, it is a tactical advantage. It allows you to move with the speed and precision of a ghost. The sovereign command. To be a sovereign commander of your own life, your validation must come from one source, the mirror. Not the digital mirror of social media, but the literal mirror you look into at 4:30 a.m. Can you look yourself in the eye and know that you did the work? Can you feel the quiet satisfaction of a task completed with excellence, even if no one ever finds out? This is internal sovereignty. It is the highest form of discipline. It is the ability to be your own judge, your own jury, and your own audience. The cost of silence. The cost of silence. Let us be clear, the silence strategy is lonely. When you stop seeking validation, you stop being relatable. You will stop being invited to the noise circles where people sit around and talk about what they intend to do. You will become an outlier. People will ask why you are so quiet. They will assume you are failing because you aren't announcing your wins. They will think you have disappeared. Let them. Your disappearance is a period of incubation. Like a seed beneath the soil, you are not dead, you are growing. The soil is dark and the soil is quiet, but it is the only place where roots can take hold. Without roots, no tree can survive the storms of the public eye. Practical application, the 30-day embargo. As we close this chapter, I challenge you to a 30-day validation embargo. For the next month, you will not share a single win. You will not post a workout. You will not mention a business lead. You will not tell anyone about your new routine. You will hold all your progress inside. You will feel the pressure build. You will feel the desperate urge to tell someone, to get that hit of approval. Don't give in. Take that pressure and funnel it back into the work. Use the energy you would have spent typing a caption to finish one more page, one more rep, or one more hour of deep focus. The noise of the world is a distraction. The silence of the self is a weapon. In Chapter 2, we will discuss how to use this weapon to build invisible progress, the kind of growth that the world won't see coming until it's already too late for them to stop you. Chapter 2, The Power of Invisible Progress. Understanding the stealth phase of success, the illusion of the instant. In the modern world, we are addicted to the overnight success narrative. We see the finished skyscraper, but we never see the 2 years spent digging the hole for the foundation. We see the billionaire's exit, but not the decade of ramen noodles and failed prototypes. This is the visibility bias. Because we only see the results, we assume the results are the only thing that matters. But the most dangerous part of any journey is the stealth phase. The stealth phase is the period of time between the moment you start a new endeavor and the moment the world acknowledges it. It is the long, quiet corridor of invisible progress. In this phase, you are putting in maximum effort for minimum feedback. You are waking up at 4,000 a.m. You are studying late. You are investing your last dollar. And yet, to the outside observer, nothing has changed. Your bank account looks the same. Your body looks the same. Your status remains unchanged. This is where 99% of people quit. They quit because they mistake invisible progress for no progress. The bamboo principle. To understand the stealth phase, you must look at the Chinese bamboo tree. When the seed is planted, it requires water and fertile soil every single day. For the first year, nothing happens. For the second year, nothing happens. For the third and fourth years, there is still no sign of life above the ground. To a neighbor watching, it looks like a waste of time. It looks like failure. But in the fifth year, the bamboo tree grows 80 feet in just 6 weeks. Did the tree grow 80 feet in 6 weeks? No. It grew 80 feet in 5 years. During those 4 years of invisibility, the tree was busy building a massive, complex root system capable of supporting an 80-foot structure. If the tree had tried to grow upward before it grew downward, the first wind would have toppled it. Your life is no different. The stealth phase is your root-building season. If you seek the height of success before you have the depth of character, your success will be fleeting. You are not stuck, you are rooting. The danger of early exposure. One of the greatest mistakes a sovereign commander can make is seeking the light too early. When you expose a seed to the sun before it has sprouted, you kill it. When you show your invisible progress to a world that only values visible results, you invite criticism that you aren't yet strong enough to handle. In the stealth phase, your ideas are fragile. Your confidence is still being forged. By staying in the shadows, you protect your momentum. You allow your skills to sharpen in a low-stakes environment. In the dark, failure is just a lesson. In the light, failure is a public embarrassment. Use the stealth phase as your laboratory. Experiment, fail, pivot, and grow, all while the world thinks you are doing nothing. The mechanics of compounding invisibility progress is not linear, it is exponential. However, exponential growth looks like a flat line for a very long time. Imagine you are melting an ice cube in a room that is 20 degrees Fahrenheit. You turn the heat up to 21 degrees. Nothing happens. 22 degrees. Nothing. 25, 28, 30, 31 degrees. The ice cube is still there, solid as ever. To an undisciplined mind, the effort of raising the temperature seems useless. But then you hit 32 degrees. Suddenly, the ice begins to melt. A 1-degree shift. The same shift you've been making all along finally produces a visible result. Did the 32nd degree do all the work? No. It was the cumulative energy of every degree before it. Your invisible workouts, your invisible study sessions, and your invisible savings are all raising the temperature of your life. You are currently at 30 degrees. The world sees an ice cube. You must see the energy you are storing. You are 1 degree away from a breakthrough. Developing internal metrics. To survive the stealth phase, you must stop using external metrics, money, likes, praise, and start using internal metrics. Internal metrics are things only you can see. Did I stick to my schedule today? Did I control my temper when I was tired? Did I choose the difficult task over the easy one? Is my focus 1% sharper than it was last week? When you win privately, you build a proof of work with yourself. This creates a type of confidence that cannot be shaken. If your confidence comes from the crowd can take it away. If your confidence comes from your internal metrics, you are untouchable. You know what you are capable of, even if the world hasn't caught up yet. The psychological edge of the ghost. There is a psychological advantage to being a ghost in your own industry or social circle. While your competitors are busy branding themselves and posting content about their work, you are actually doing the work. They are spending 50% of their energy on the performance. You are spending 100% of your energy on the craft. Over a long enough timeline, the person who spends all their energy on the work will always lap the person who spends half their energy on the image. By the time they realize you are a threat, you will be so far ahead that they can never catch you. The stealth phase is not just for protection, it is for outpacing the competition without them even knowing a race has started. The transition from stealth to sovereign, eventually the pressure of your invisible progress will become too great to contain. The bamboo will break the surface. The ice will melt. The results will become visible. When this happens, people will call you lucky. They will say you came out of nowhere. They will act as if you found a shortcut. This is the moment to remain silent. You don't need to explain the years of darkness to people who only showed up for the light. Your role during the transition is to maintain the same discipline that got you through the stealth phase. Many people reach a visible result and immediately stop doing the things that made them successful. They start believing their own hype. They become the noise they once avoided. A true sovereign knows that the stealth phase never truly ends. Even when you are winning publicly, you should always have a private project, a part of your life or business that is still in the shadows, still rooting, still growing in total silence. Summary of the stealth phase. Accept the flat line. Understand that progress will feel invisible for a long time. This is not failure. It is foundation building. Protect the seed. Do not show your work too early. Let it get strong enough to survive the sun of public opinion. Trust the math. Compounding interest requires time and consistency. Don't stop at 31 degrees. Value. Internal metrics. Score yourself on your discipline, not your bank account. The power of invisible progress is the power of the deep. It is the strength of the iceberg beneath the water. In the next chapter, we will discuss how to starve the ego, the specific mental techniques required to kill the urge for applause so you can stay in the stealth phase as long as necessary to win. Chapter 3. Starving the ego. How to stop seeking applause before the work is done. The hunger of the false self. Every human being carries a shadow. In the world of high performance and self-mastery, that shadow is the ego. The ego is not your friend. It is a parasitic entity that lives off the energy of external validation. It is a bottomless pit that demands to be fed with likes, compliments, nods of approval, and the envy of others. The ego has one primary goal: to make you feel successful before you have actually become successful. It is a master of shortcuts. It whispers to you that the announcement is just as good as the achievement. It convinces you that if you buy the expensive gear, join the elite gym, or change your social media bio to founder and CEO, you have already arrived. This is the applause trap. When you feed the ego, you starve the soul. You trade your long-term legacy for a short-term dopamine hit. To win in silence, you must learn to starve the ego until it no longer has the strength to dictate your actions. The dopamine debt. We have discussed the biological hit of dopamine that comes from announcing a goal. But there is a darker side to this, the dopamine debt. When you seek applause before the work is done, you are borrowing satisfaction from the future. You are spending the reward before you have earned the result. This creates a chemical deficit. Once the initial excitement of the announcement wears off, once the comments stop rolling in and the notifications go quiet, you are left with the reality of the grueling work ahead. But because you've already tasted the win, the actual work feels boring. It feels heavy. Your brain asks, why should I grind for 10 hours to get the same feeling I got in 10 seconds from a social media post? By starving the ego, you keep that hunger alive. You keep the dopamine locked away as a prize that can only be unlocked by the completion of the task. You refuse to borrow from the future. You stay hungry because you haven't eaten. The mirror of vanity versus the mirror of truth. The ego loves the mirror of vanity. This is the curated version of your life. It's the carefully angled photo, the highlighted success, and the hidden failures. The mirror of vanity is designed for others to look at. The sovereign commander only uses the mirror of truth. The mirror of truth doesn't care about your potential. It doesn't care about your intentions. It only reflects your actions. It asks, did you do the work today? Did you wake up when you said you would? Did you skip the easy path? When you seek applause, you are looking into the mirror of vanity. You are asking the world to tell you that you're doing great. But the world doesn't know the truth. Only you do. Starving the ego means breaking the mirror of vanity. It means becoming comfortable with the ugly phase of growth. The phase where you look like a failure, where you feel incompetent, and where you have nothing to show for your efforts. If you can survive the ugly phase without seeking a pity-like or a validation hug, you are becoming dangerous. The concept of work as prayer. In ancient Stoic and monastic traditions, work was often viewed as a form of silent prayer or meditation. The work was done for the sake of the work itself, not for an audience. When you adopt the mindset of work as prayer, you detach yourself from the outcome. You stop looking over your shoulder to see who is watching. You realize that the quality of your effort is its own reward. Whether you are building a billion-dollar company or recording an audiobook in your bedroom, the sanctity of the craft remains the same. Every time you resist the urge to share a work in progress just to get a good job, you are performing an act of self-mastery. You are telling your ego, you don't get to eat today. The work isn't finished. This builds a core of steel. It creates a version of you that is immune to the opinions of others because your satisfaction is internal. The tell no one rule. To practice starving the ego, you must implement the tell no one rule for your most important projects. There is a psychological phenomenon called social reality. When we tell others our goals and they acknowledge them, those goals become part of our social reality. We feel like we've already become that person. By keeping your project a secret, you create an internal pressure vessel. Because you have no outlet for the excitement, the energy has nowhere to go but into the work. It's like a steam engine. If you let the steam out of the whistle, it sounds loud, but it doesn't move the train. If you keep the steam inside the cylinders, it moves the wheels. Stop blowing the whistle. Keep the steam inside. Let the pressure drive you forward until the results are so massive they create their own noise. Handling the void. When you stop seeking applause, you will encounter the void. The void is the silence that follows when you stop performing for others. It can feel like loneliness. It can feel like you're being forgotten. It can feel like you're falling behind because everyone else is screaming about their wins. The ego hates the void. It will scream at you to post something, to check in, to remind them you're still here. This is the test. The void is where the sovereign commander is born. In the silence of the void, you finally hear your own voice. You finally discover why you are actually doing this. Are you doing it for the money, for the power, or because it is who you are? If you can stay in the void for 6 months, a year, or 2 years without breaking, you will emerge with a level of focus that is terrifying to the average person. You will have developed deep focus architecture, a mental state where the distractions of the world can no longer reach you. Killing the hero narrative. The ego loves to cast you as the hero in a movie. It wants the dramatic music, the slow-motion montage, and the climactic ending. But real success is boring. It's repetitive. It's 1,000 Mondays in a row of doing the exact same thing with no one watching. Starving the ego means killing the hero narrative. You are not a movie star, you are a worker. You are a craftsman, you are a ghost. When you stop trying to be the hero, you stop worrying about how the story looks to others. You start focusing on the efficiency of the system. You stop making dramatic moves and start making effective moves. Summary of ego starvation. Identify the leak. Notice every time you feel the urge to tell someone a win. That is a leak. Plug it. Delay the reward. Do not celebrate until the proof of work is undeniable. Break the mirror. Stop looking at your life through the lens of a social media feed. Embrace the void. Use the silence to find your true why. Starving the ego is the most painful part of the silent strategy, but it is the most rewarding. Once the ego dies, you are free. You are no longer a slave to the thumbs up of a stranger. In Chapter 4, we will take this internal strength and apply it to your environment through strategic isolation, learning how to build your sanctuary of focus. Chapter 4. Strategic Isolation. Using solitude as a high-performance laboratory, the myth of connectivity. In 2026, we are told that your network is your net worth. We are conditioned to believe that being plugged in is the only way to stay relevant. We attend the meetings, we join the group chats, we maintain the streaks, and we collaborate until our original vision is diluted into a lukewarm soup of collective mediocrity. But history tells a different story. Every great breakthrough, every masterpiece of art, every revolutionary scientific theory, every empire-building business strategy was born in the womb of isolation. Strategic isolation is not about being antisocial, it is about being pro-focus. It is the deliberate act of cutting the umbilical cord to the collective noise so that you can hear the frequency of your own genius. It is the realization that you cannot build a skyscraper in the middle of a carnival. To build something that lasts, you must retreat to the laboratory of solitude. The cost of context switching. The greatest enemy of high performance is not hard work, it is cognitive leakage. Every time you check in with the world, a quick glance at a message, a brief conversation in a hallway, a sync meeting that could have been an email, your brain undergoes a context switch. Research shows it takes an average of 23 minutes to return to a state of deep flow after a single distraction. If you are connected all day, you are never actually working. You are merely simulating work while your brain operates at 30% capacity. Strategic isolation is the hard reset. By physically and digitally removing yourself from the reach of others, you eliminate the possibility of the switch. You create a closed-loop system where 100% of your neural energy is funneled into a single point of impact. In the laboratory of solitude, 1 hour of work is worth 5 hours of connected work. You are not just working harder, you are working pure. The laboratory of the self. Why do we call it a laboratory? Because solitude is where you experiment with the most volatile element in existence, yourself. In the noise of the world, you are a reactionary being. You react to the news, you react to your boss, you react to your family. You are a reflection of your environment. But in strategic isolation, there is nothing to react to. You are forced to act. This is where you discover your true operating system. What is your actual peak performance window? How does your brain solve problems when it isn't being spoon-fed answers by a search engine or a colleague? What happens to your discipline when there is no one around to watch you? Isolation is the ultimate diagnostic tool. It reveals your weaknesses, your tendency to procrastinate, your hidden anxieties, your mental fog, and it gives you the quiet space to fix them. You cannot debug your mind while the program is still running at full speed in the public eye. You must take the system offline to optimize the code. The sacred border, physical versus digital isolation. Strategic isolation requires a two-front war, the physical border and the digital border. The physical border is your sanctuary. It doesn't need to be a mountaintop. It can be a spare bedroom, a library corner, or a parked car at 5:00 a.m. The rule is simple. When you are within this border, you are incommunicado. You are a ghost. You are in the lab. The digital border is more difficult to maintain. In 2026, the world lives in your pocket. To achieve strategic isolation, you must treat your devices like hazardous materials. You don't silence your phone, you exile it. You use hardware that cannot browse the web. You use software that blocks the noise at the root. When you cross these borders, you enter the sovereign zone. In this zone, the laws of the normal world do not apply. You don't respond. You don't check. You only produce. The alchemy of boredom. The most uncomfortable part of strategic isolation is the onset of boredom. Our modern brains are addicted to micro-stimulation. We are terrified of a quiet room. But boredom is the pre-alpha state of creativity. When you sit in isolation and refuse to feed your brain the junk food of digital distraction, your brain begins to starve. In its hunger, it starts to look inward. It begins to connect dots that have been sitting in your subconscious for months. It begins to generate original thought. This is the alchemy of boredom, turning the lead of silence into the gold of innovation. Most people run from boredom back into the noise. The sovereign commander sits with the boredom until it transforms into a breakthrough. If you want to have thoughts that no one else is having, you must go where no one else is going, into the deep silence, the social tax of isolation. Let us be honest, strategic isolation has a social price. People will call you selfish. They will say you are changing. They will take your absence personally. This is a quality filter. Those who truly value your mission will understand your need for the lab. Those who only value your utility to them will complain. You must be willing to be the villain in someone else's story, to be the hero in your own. If you spend your life trying to be available to everyone, you will end up being useful to no one. Your yes only has value if you have the sovereign number. Isolation is how you protect your yes. It is how you ensure that when you do emerge from the lab, you are bringing something of immense value to the world. You aren't hiding, you are preparing. The monk mode protocol. To implement Chapter 4, you must adopt a monk mode protocol. This is a fixed period of time, perhaps 90 days, where strategic isolation is your primary operating state. Define the lab, choose your physical space and your deep work hours. The information embargo. Cut off all non-essential inputs. No news, no social feeds, no entertainment that doesn't serve the craft. The output mandate. Set a sovereign goal that can only be achieved through isolation. The return policy. Decide when you will resurface. Isolation is a laboratory, not a tomb. You go in to get the work done, and you come out to deploy the results. Summary of strategic isolation. Isolation is a tool, not a punishment. Use it to amplify your neural output. Eliminate the switch. Protect your deep flow by building high physical and digital walls. Embrace the boredom. Let your brain starve until it creates its own fuel. Pay the social tax. Accept that being unavailable is the price of being unforgettable. In the laboratory of solitude, the noise of the world fades away, and the silent strategy takes full effect. You are no longer a participant in the economy of attention. You are a creator of value. In Chapter 5, we will discuss the information embargo. How to specifically control the data that enters and leaves your laboratory to ensure your stealth phase remains impenetrable. Chapter 5. The information embargo. Controlling who knows your next move. The leaking vessel. Most people are leaky vessels. They carry their dreams, their strategies, and their next moves in a bucket filled with holes. Every time they have a great idea, they immediately spill it to a friend, a partner, or worst of all, the digital void of social media. They believe that by sharing, they are building accountability. In reality, they are committing strategic suicide. An information embargo is the deliberate, tactical restriction of data. It is the realization that information is power, and when you give it away for free, you are disarming yourself. In the world of high-level chess, business, and warfare, the winner is often the one who knows the most while revealing the least. To be a sovereign commander, you must become a black box. You must process inputs, generate outputs, but keep the internal mechanics of your strategy hidden from the world. The psychology of the premature reveal. Why do we feel the desperate urge to tell people what we're doing? It stems from a deep-seated insecurity. We want to be seen as up and coming. We want people to know we aren't stagnant. When we are in the stealth phase, as discussed in Chapter 2, the lack of external results creates an internal pressure. The ego, Chapter 3, hates this pressure and tries to vent it by revealing the plan. But here is the danger. Once the plan is revealed, it is no longer yours. It now belongs to the opinions, the doubts, and the projections of everyone you told. If you tell 10 people your plan, you now have 10 unpaid consultants living in your head. When you hit a roadblock, you won't just think about how to solve it. You'll think about how it will look to those 10 people when you fail. You have traded your creative freedom for a social debt. The information embargo cancels that debt. It keeps the plan pure. The need-to-know basis. In intelligence agencies, information is compartmentalized. An agent is only given the specific data required to complete their task, nothing more. You must apply this to your own life. You do not owe the world a status update. You do not owe your family a business plan. You do not owe your friends an explanation for your sudden disappearance into strategic isolation. The hierarchy of disclosure, level 0, the core, you. You are the only one who knows the 100% full picture. Level 1, the executioners, mentors, high-level partners, or specialized employees. They only know the parts they are responsible for. Level 2, the inner circle, close family or partners. They know you are working on something big, but they don't know the specifics of the how or the when. Level 3, the public, they see nothing until the result is finished. By keeping people on a need-to-know basis, you prevent narrative hijacking. This is when someone else's realistic advice kills your unrealistic ambition before it has the strength to stand. The power of the strategic pivot. The greatest advantage of the information embargo is the ability to change your mind without losing face. In the early stages of a project, you need the sovereignty to pivot. You might realize that your initial idea was wrong, or that a different market is better. If you have already announced your version A to the world, your ego will fight you when you try to move to version B. You will feel like a failure or a quitter for changing direction. But if no one knows you are working on version A, you can pivot in total silence. You can fail 1,000 times in the dark, and to the world, your first public move will look like a stroke of genius. The embargo gives you the room to fail. And the room to fail is the only place where true innovation lives. Digital counter. Intelligence. In 2026, your information footprint is being tracked by algorithms and humans alike. To maintain an embargo, you must practice digital counterintelligence. Stop the hustle porn. Stop posting photos of your laptop, your coffee, or your late-night grind. This signals to the world that you are trying. A sovereign commander doesn't try, they arrive. The grey man profile, your social media, if it exists, should be neutered. It should reveal nothing of your current trajectory. The delayed post, if you must share a win, share it 6 months after it happened. By the time the world is applauding your current success, you should be deep in the stealth phase of your next victory. By controlling your digital output, you create a mystery gap. People will begin to wonder what you're doing. This curiosity creates perceived value. In a world where everyone is an open book, the closed book is the one everyone wants to read. Handling the interrogators. When you start moving in silence and implementing an embargo, people will notice. They will ask questions. What have you been up to? I haven't seen you around. What are you working on? Are you still doing that business thing? The amateur feels the need to justify themselves. They give a long, detailed answer to prove they are still relevant. The sovereign commander uses the vague authority technique. Response: I'm just focusing on some internal systems right now. Nothing ready to share yet, but I'll let you know when the time is right. This response is polite, but it sets a hard boundary. It signals that you are in control and that your work is too important to be chatted about over coffee. It shuts down the interrogation without creating conflict. The burden of the secret. Let us be clear. Carrying an information embargo is a heavy burden. It is human nature to want to be understood. It is a lonely path to carry a vision for months or years without anyone to validate it. But this burden is what tempers your character. It is the mental pressure that turns the coal of an idea into the diamond of a result. Every time you feel the itch to reveal your next move and you don't, your willpower grows. You are proving to yourself that you are stronger than your social instincts. You are proving that your mission is more important than your popularity. The embargo as a launch trap. The goal of the information embargo is to create a vacuum effect. When you finally break the silence, the impact is magnified. Imagine 2 people starting a YouTube channel. Person posts every day about how they are going to start a channel, asks for feedback on logos, and shares behind the scenes of their setup. By the time they post their first video, the audience is already bored of the story. Person B says nothing for 6 months. They study, they record, they fail, they edit. Then, out of nowhere, they drop 10 high-quality videos at once. The shock and awe of Person B's arrival creates instant authority. The world asks, who is this? Where did they come from? The information embargo has turned a launch into an event. Summary of the information embargo: plug the leaks, stop the impulse reveal. Keep the dopamine for the work, compartmentalize, use the need-to-know basis for everyone in your life. Protect the pivot. Use the silence to fail and change direction without public shame. Create the mystery gap. Let your absence do the talking. Shock and awe. Use the vacuum effect to make your eventual reveal undeniable. Controlling who knows your next move is the ultimate act of narrative sovereignty. You are the only director of your film. In Chapter 6, we will discuss deep focus architecture, how to build the physical and mental structures that allow you to execute your embargoed plans with surgical precision. Chapter 6, Deep Focus Architecture. Building a lifestyle that resists 2026. Distractions. The war on attention. In 2026, attention is the most valuable resource on the planet. It is more valuable than oil, more liquid than gold, and more contested than land. Every trillion-dollar corporation on Earth has thousands of engineers whose sole job is to break your will. They use AI-driven algorithms, neuro-linguistic programming, and variable reward schedules to ensure that you are never alone with your thoughts. They don't want your money, they want your focus. Because if they have your focus, they own your future. Deep focus architecture is the counter-offensive. It is the deliberate construction of a life that is high friction for distractions and low friction for production. It is the realization that willpower is a finite resource that runs out by noon. You cannot fight a trillion-dollar algorithm with just discipline. You must fight it with structure. You must build a fortress that does the fighting for you. The physics of the environment. Your environment is a silent coach. It is constantly whispering instructions to your subconscious. If your phone is on your desk, your environment is whispering, "Check me." If your workspace is cluttered, it is whispering, "You are overwhelmed." To build deep focus architecture, you must apply the law of environmental friction. Increase friction for distraction. If you want to stop checking social media, don't just try to stop. Delete the app. Move the phone to another room. Use a physical time lock safe. Make the act of being distracted require a 5-minute physical effort. Decrease friction for output. If your goal is to record an audiobook, your microphone should be mounted, your software should be open, and your script should be loaded before you sleep. The path to work must be a straight line. By the time your brain even considers procrastinating, the work should already be happening. Architecture beats willpower every single time. The sovereign sanctuary. You need a primary work cell. This is a physical location dedicated to one thing: deep work. The sovereign sanctuary has 3 rules: no communication, no phones, no Slack, no email. This is a signal-free zone. No consumption, you do not eat here. You do not watch YouTube here. You do not research here. You only produce. The sensory anchor. Use a specific scent like cedarwood, a specific lighting setup, dark with a single desk lamp, or a specific frequency like 40 Hz binaural beats. Over time, your brain will form a Pavlovian response to these anchors. The moment you sit in that chair and smell that scent, your brain will automatically trigger a flow state. You aren't trying to focus. The architecture is forcing you into it. The digital grayscale protocol. In 2026, our devices are designed to be digital candy. The vibrant colors of icons and notifications are calibrated to trigger a dopaminergic response. To resist this, you must implement the grayscale protocol. Turn your phone and computer displays to monochromatic, black and white. Suddenly, Instagram looks like a boring newspaper. The red notification bubbles no longer scream for your attention. You are stripping the drug of its color. Furthermore, you must adopt analog archiving. For the first 2 hours of your day, use only pen and paper. The digital world is a reactive world. The analog world is a proactive world. When you write your goals on paper, you are the commander. When you type them into an app, you are a user. Deep focus architecture prioritizes the commander role, the 90-minute deep work. Sprint. Human biology is not designed for 8 hours of continuous focus. We operate in ultradian rhythms. The core unit of deep focus architecture is the 90-minute sprint. During these 90 minutes, you are a ghost. You do not exist to the world. You do not answer the door. You do not check the news. You focus on a single high-leverage task. After the sprint, you must have a recursive break. A recursive break is not checking your phone. That is input overload. A recursive break is walking, staring at a wall, or meditating. It is allowing the brain to defrag the information it just processed. If you go from a deep work sprint straight to a social media scroll, you are overwriting the progress you just made. You are polluting the laboratory, the information diet, minimalist consumption. You cannot have a focused mind if you have a cluttered input feed. In 2026, most people suffer from information obesity. They consume thousands of tips, hacks, and news stories that they will never use. Deep focus architecture requires an information diet. Just-in-time learning. Only consume information that you need for your current project. If you're recording Chapter 6, don't read about how to monetize in 2027. Read about audio engineering. The 24-hour rule. If you see an interesting article or video, wait 24 hours before consuming it. 90% of the time, the urge to know will vanish. The high signal filter. Unfollow everyone who does not contribute to your stealth phase. Chapter 2. Your feed should be a tool, not a playground. Social architecture, the gatekeeper. Strategy. As a sovereign commander, you must build architecture around your relationships. People are unconscious distractors. They don't mean to ruin your focus, they simply don't value their own time, so they don't value yours. You must appoint yourself as the gatekeeper of your time. The asynchronous default. Move all communication to asynchronous channels, email, recorded voice notes. Stop doing live meetings unless they are mission critical. The focus status. Let your inner circle know your sovereign hours. Tell them, between 5:00 a.m. and 10:00 a.m. I do not exist. If the house is on fire, call the fire department. If it's anything else, I'll see you at noon. This isn't being rude. This is being professional. People will eventually respect your boundaries because they see the results those boundaries produce. The biological foundation, sleep and fasting. You cannot build a skyscraper on a swamp. Deep focus architecture requires a biological foundation. The sleep embargo, 8 hours of sleep, is not a luxury, it is a system update. Without it, your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for discipline, is effectively offline. Focused fasting, the sovereign hours, are best performed in a fasted state. When your body isn't busy digesting a heavy breakfast, it redirects that energy to the brain. Hunger is an evolutionary trigger for focus. Use it. Summary of deep focus architecture. Build friction. Make it hard to be distracted and easy to work. The sovereign sanctuary. Create a signal-free zone with sensory anchors. The grayscale protocol. Strip the digital candy of its power. The 90-minute sprint. Work in cycles of deep, uninterrupted intensity. Information diet. Practice just-in-time learning to avoid information obesity. The gatekeeper. Protect your time from the unconscious distractors. Architecture is the silent partner of the silence strategy. It is the machine that allows you to move in silence while the rest of the world is screaming for attention. In Chapter 7, we will discuss subconscious sovereignty, how to take this external structure and mirror it internally, programming your mind to stay locked in even when the architecture isn't there. Chapter 7. Subconscious sovereignty. Programming your mind for private excellence. The invisible architect. We have built the fortress. We have established the information embargo. We have mapped out the deep focus architecture. But a fortress is only as strong as the commander inside its walls. In 2026, the greatest threat to your silent strategy isn't a distraction from the outside. It is a rebellion from the inside. Most people are not the masters of their own minds. They are passengers in a vehicle driven by their subconscious programming, a program written by their parents, their teachers, and the relentless marketing of the digital age. This programming is designed for compliance, consumption, and comparison. Subconscious sovereignty is the act of seizing the controls. It is the realization that your subconscious mind is a servo mechanism. It does not judge, it only executes the instructions it is given. If you do not program yourself for excellence in private, your subconscious will default to the smallness of the crowd. To move in silence, you must rewrite the code, the mirror of identity. Your subconscious mind will never allow you to outperform your self-image. If you see yourself as someone who tries to be disciplined, your subconscious will create self-sabotage to bring you back in line with that identity. If you see yourself as someone who needs validation, you will eventually leak your plans to get it. To achieve private excellence, you must perform an identity shift. You must stop seeing yourself as a creator or a hustler and start seeing yourself as a sovereign commander. A commander doesn't negotiate with their alarm clock. A commander doesn't seek pity when the work is hard. The subconscious does not understand future tense. It only understands now. You do not say, "I will be disciplined." You say, "I am the kind of person who finishes what I start," in total silence. You are not trying to change your behavior, you are reclaiming your nature. The alpha-theta window, the programming zone. The most effective time to rewrite your subconscious code is during the twilight states, the 20 minutes after you wake up and the 20 minutes before you fall asleep. In these windows, your brain waves are in the alpha and theta frequencies. The critical filter of the conscious mind is relaxed, and the gates to the subconscious are wide open. In 2026, most people waste these windows by scrolling through social media. They are literally programming their subconscious with the anxiety, envy, and noise of the world. The sovereignty protocol, the morning embargo, for the first 20 minutes of your day, your mind is a sanctuary. No inputs, no news, no messages. Instead, you record the script. You visualize your day's deep focus. You repeat your internal metrics, chapter 2. You see yourself working in silence with total joy. The evening review before sleep, do not worry about the to-do list. Instead, perform a review of character. Where did you seek validation today? Where did you stay silent? You are feeding the machine the data of your successes so it can replicate them tomorrow. Your subconscious often holds on to evidence of failure to protect you from future pain. It reminds you of the time you quit, the time you were embarrassed, or the time you were lazy. A sovereign commander realizes that the past is low-signal data. It is a ghost. You must consciously delete the file. Every morning is a fresh install. You are not the person you were yesterday. You are the person your current actions say you are. By refusing to dwell on past smallness, you free up the processing power of your subconscious to focus on the greatness of the current stealth phase. Cognitive reframing, turning loneliness into power. As we discussed in Chapter 4, the silence strategy can feel lonely. To the unprogrammed mind, loneliness is a negative state. It feels like exclusion. Subconscious sovereignty requires you to reframe this. You must teach your subconscious that loneliness is high-frequency solitude. When you are alone, you aren't missing out. You are leveling up. When no one is calling you, you aren't forgotten. You are untouchable. When your subconscious starts to view solitude as a superpower, your craving for external validation, chapter 3, disappears. You begin to crave the private victory more than the public applause. You have successfully inverted the social hierarchy of the 21st century. The mental rehearsal of the deep focus elite athletes and special forces operators use mental rehearsal to prepare for high-stress environments. You must use it for high-performance silence. Spend 5 minutes a day rehearsing your deep focus architecture. See yourself sitting at your desk. See the notification pop up on your computer. See yourself ignoring it. Feel the satisfaction of closing the tab. Feel the flow of words or code or strategy coming from your mind. By pre-gaming the struggle, you remove the friction of the decision. When the distraction actually arrives, your subconscious has already been trained to reject it. You have turned discipline into a reflex rather than a choice. A choice requires willpower. A reflex is automatic. Feeding the algorithm of the mind. Your subconscious is like a YouTube algorithm. If you watch trash, it will recommend trash. If you feed your mind high-signal thoughts, it will generate high-signal ideas. In 2026, you must be a censorship board for your own mind. The no complaint policy. Complaining is an admission that you are a victim of your circumstances. It programs the subconscious for powerlessness. The zero comparison rule. Comparison is the thief of sovereignty. Every time you compare your invisible progress to someone else's visible result, you are poisoning your own well. If a thought does not serve your silent strategy, it is malware. You must detect it, quarantine it, and delete it immediately. You are the only admin with root access to your mind. Protect that access with your life, the flow of the sovereign. When subconscious sovereignty is achieved, you enter the state of sovereign flow. This is the peak of human experience. It is where the commander and the work become one. In this state, you are no longer trying to move in silence. You are silence. You no longer seek focus. You are focus. The work happens through you, not by you. This is the ultimate goal of the Mind Boost audiobook philosophy. It is the point where the mind has been boosted so high that it operates above the frequency of human distraction. Summary of subconscious sovereignty. Identify as the commander. Your subconscious follows your self-image. Stop being a passenger. Use the alpha-theta windows. Program your goals in the first and last 20 minutes of the day. Practice selective amnesia. Delete the files of past failure. Every day is a fresh install. Reframe solitude. Teach your mind that being alone is a tactical advantage, not a social loss. Mental rehearsal. Train your focus reflex so that discipline becomes automatic. Delete mental malware. Quarantine complaints and comparisons before they infect the system. Your subconscious is the engine of the silent strategy. If the engine is tuned for excellence, the fortress will stand, the isolation will be productive, and the stealth phase will lead to an inevitable, crushing victory. In Chapter 8, we will take this internal power and apply it to the most difficult area of human life, the quiet hustle, managing wealth and growth without the flex. Chapter 8, the quiet hustle, managing wealth and growth without the flex. The trap of the golden handcuffs. In the modern economy, we are taught that wealth is a performance. We are told that if you don't look like a millionaire, you aren't one. This is the flex culture, a psychological virus designed to keep the middle class in a state of perpetual debt. It is the urge to buy the luxury watch, the high-end car, and the designer clothes the moment you see a spike in your income. But for the sovereign commander, the flex is a security breach. Every time you signal your wealth to the world, you invite three things: envy, entitlement, and erasure. Envy from those who want what you have, entitlement from those who believe they deserve a piece of your work, and erasure of your privacy. The quiet hustle is the art of building a financial empire that is invisible to the naked eye. It is the realization that true wealth is not the ability to buy things, but the power to own your time. The mathematics of stealth. Wealth. To understand the quiet hustle, you must understand the difference between rich and wealthy. Rich is a high income. It is visible. It is fragile. It depends on your next paycheck or your next launch. Wealthy is a high net worth. It is invisible. It is durable. It depends on your assets. When you flex, you are converting wealth back into riches. You are taking money that could have been compounding in the shadows and spending it on a status signal that depreciates the moment you show it off. The quiet hustle operates on a 10,001 ratio. For every 10,001 ratio, one-th invisible wealth you build, you are allowed one of visible lifestyle. Most people do the opposite. They have one of wealth and $10 of lifestyle, funded by the debt trap. By staying in the stealth phase, Chapter 2 financially, You allow your capital to grow without the tax of attention. The Grey Man. Economy. In 2026, the safest way to live is as a grey man. A grey man is someone who possesses elite skills and massive resources, but blends perfectly into the crowd. They drive a reliable 5-year-old car. They live in a safe, quiet neighborhood, not a gated mansion that screams, "Rob me." They wear high-quality, unbranded clothing. By removing the brands, you remove the target from your back. This is financial counterintelligence. When people don't know how much you have, they don't know how to manipulate you. You gain the sovereignty of choice. You can walk into a room and be judged by your character and your intelligence, rather than the price of your shoes. This is the ultimate mind boost, the freedom to be yourself without the performance of success. The anti-validation budget. The hardest part of the quiet hustle is the internal battle. When you finally hit that first $100,000 or $1,000 and in silence, your ego, Chapter 3, will scream for a reward. It will tell you that you deserve to show the world that you've made it. You must implement an anti-validation budget. Instead of buying a status symbol, buy privacy. Instead of buying a luxury item, buy access. Instead of buying attention, buy time. Invest in the things that the world can't see: better health, better education, better security, and better systems for your business. These are silent dividends. They don't get likes on Instagram, but they create a life of profound peace and power. The world sees a normal person. You see a sovereign commander with a 20-year runway of freedom, managing growth in the shadows. As your Mind Boost audiobook channel or your business grows, the noise will increase. People will start to guess your income. They will start to offer opportunities. The quiet hustle protocol for growth. The delayed reveal. Never talk about your current numbers. Talk about your 2-year-old numbers. This keeps the information embargo, Chapter 5, intact. The broke mindset. Live as if you are still at 20% of your current income. This financial friction ensures that your lifestyle creep never outpaces your asset growth. The diversified ghost. Don't put all your wealth in one visible place. Spread it across boring assets, land, index funds, private equity, things that don't have vibrant colors or hype. The social dynamics of stealth. When you refuse to flex, your social circle will change. The climbers, those who only want to be around success, will disappear because they don't see any value in you. The authentics, those who value you for your mind, will stay. This is a wealth filter. By moving in silence, you ensure that your relationships are based on substance, not status. You avoid the fake friends who only appear when the champagne is flowing. In the quiet hustle, you eat the best food, but you do it at a table where no one is taking photos of the plate. The success paradox. There is a strange paradox in the quiet hustle. The less you signal your success, the more successful you become. When you aren't spending your energy on the performance of wealth, you have 100% of your energy for the creation of value. You aren't distracted by comparison. You aren't worried about keeping up with the Joneses. You are in a race with no one but your past self. This creates a compound interest of the mind. You become so focused, so disciplined, and so well-resourced that your eventual arrival is not just a win. It is a total dominance. The exit strategy of silence. The ultimate goal of the quiet hustle is total sovereignty. This is the point where work becomes optional. Most people flex their way into a prison. They buy the mansion and the cars, and now they must keep working to fund the lifestyle. They are slaves to their own signals. The quiet hustle is about building a financial fortress that you can live in forever, regardless of what the economy does. It's about being able to disappear for a year, turn off your phone, and still have your empire grow. This is the grand reveal. Chapter 10. Not a reveal of your stuff, but a reveal of your freedom. Summary of the quiet hustle. Wealth is invisible. Riches are for the crowd. Wealth is for the sovereign. The grey man strategy: blend in to protect your privacy and your peace. Buy time, not status. Redirect your flex budget into freedom assets. Practice financial counter-intelligence. Never reveal your current playbook or payout. Use the wealth filter. Let your lack of signals attract people of substance. The quiet hustle is the final test of the silent strategy. It is the moment you prove to yourself that you don't need the world to know you're winning, to know that you've won. In Chapter 9, we will discuss social engineering. How to handle the people in your life who try to break your silence, and how to stay sovereign when the noise comes from those closest to you. Chapter 9. Social engineering. How to handle friends and family while moving in silence. The gravity of the tribe. We are social creatures by evolution. For thousands of years, to be cast out of the tribe was a death sentence. This ancient programming lives deep within your DNA, and it is the primary reason the silent strategy is so difficult to maintain. When you decide to move in silence, when you implement strategic isolation, Chapter 4, and an information embargo, Chapter 5, you are effectively leaving the tribe. Your friends and family will feel this shift. They will sense your absence. And because they love you, or because they are comfortable with the old you, they will try to pull you back. This isn't usually malicious, it is social gravity. They want you to stay where they can see you, where you are predictable, and where you make them feel safe about their own lack of progress. Social engineering is the art of managing these relationships without breaking your silence or destroying your bonds. It is about becoming a social chameleon, learning how to be present without being revealed. The crab bucket syndrome. You have likely heard the analogy of the crabs in a bucket. When one crab tries to climb out, the others don't cheer. They reach up and pull it back down so they can all perish together. In your social circle, this manifests as passive sabotage. It's the friend who mocks your 4:00 a.m. wake-up call. It's the family member who asks, "Why can't you just be happy with what you have?" It's the guilt trip when you miss a social event to stay in your sovereign sanctuary. To handle this, you must stop trying to convert your tribe. Do not explain your silent strategy. Do not try to mind boost them. If you try to teach them, you are seeking validation, Chapter 3. Instead, you must use tactical empathy. Acknowledge their feelings, but do not negotiate your mission. The grey rock technique. When family members or old friends interrogate you about your invisibility, use the grey rock technique. The goal is to make yourself as uninteresting as a grey rock. If you are excited and talk about your stealth phase, Chapter 2, you give them hooks to hang their doubts on. If you are defensive and angry, you create drama that drains your energy. Instead, be boringly pleasant. Interrogator. You've been so quiet lately. What are you actually doing with all that time? The grey rock response. Honestly, just a lot of boring administrative stuff and catching up on sleep. Nothing exciting to report. How is your project going? By immediately pivoting the conversation back to them, you feed their ego while protecting your own. You have satisfied their curiosity with a non-event. This is the core of social engineering. Give them noise so you can keep your silence. Compartmentalizing your social circles. A sovereign commander does not have one big group of friends. They have compartmentalized circles. The heritage circle, family, old friends, these people know your past. They love you, but they may not understand your future. With them, you are the heritage version of yourself. You talk about old memories, sports, or family news. You do not talk about the mind boost or the sovereign command. The strategic circle mentors peers. These are the only people who know parts of your information embargo. You speak the language of growth here, the public circle, acquaintances and social media followers. They see the grey man. Chapter 8. By keeping these circles separate, you prevent information leakage. You don't have to worry about your aunt accidentally telling a competitor about your new audiobook strategy because your aunt doesn't even know you're making one. Handling the guilt tax. The guilt tax is the emotional price you pay for your discipline. Your mother might feel neglected. Your friends might say you've changed. You must pay this tax with quality, not quantity. Instead of spending 5 hours of distracted time with your family where you are constantly checking your phone, spend 1 hour of total presence. Turn the phone off. Look them in the eye. Be the most attentive version of yourself. When you give people 100% of your attention for a short period, they feel seen. They won't complain about the other 23 hours you spent in isolation because the 1 hour they had with you was high value. This is social efficiency. You are engineering your relationships to require less time but provide more impact. The silent support system. Sometimes the people closest to you want to help, but their help is a distraction. They want to brainstorm with you or check in on your progress. You must train them to provide silent support. Tell your partner or your closest ally, I'm going into a deep production phase for the next 90 days. The best way you can help me isn't by asking how it's going, it's by helping me protect my silence. If you see me getting distracted, remind me of my mission. If people ask about me, tell them I'm busy. By giving them a role in your silence strategy, you turn them from distractors into guardians. You make them feel like part of the sovereign command, without revealing the black box of the work itself. Eliminating the vampires. Social engineering also involves pruning. They are the human embodiment of the noise of the world. Chapter 1. Moving in silence gives you the perfect excuse to perform a quiet exit. You don't need a break-up conversation. You don't need to announce your departure. You simply stop being available. You stop responding to the gossip. You stop showing up to the vampire circles. In the silence, these people will naturally drift away. They need reaction to survive. And when you become a grey rock, you are no longer a viable host for them. This is the most peaceful way to upgrade your social environment. The return of the sovereign. There will come a day when your stealth phase ends. Your results will be undeniable. Your wealth will be visible, even if you don't flex it. Your mind boost will be apparent in the way you carry yourself. When you resurface, your friends and family will treat you differently. Some will be proud, others will be resentful. This is the final test of social engineering. Do not say, I told you so. Do not explain how hard you worked while they were playing. Stay humble. Stay quiet. The sovereign commander doesn't need to win the argument because they have already won the game. Your success is the only explanation required. Summary of social engineering. Stop the conversion. Don't try to change your family. Change your management of them. Become the grey rock. Be boringly pleasant to avoid interrogation leaks. Compartmentalize. Keep your old life and new mission in separate boxes. Quality over quantity. Use total presence to pay the guilt tax in less time. Assign guardians. Turn your closest allies into protectors of your silence. The quiet exit. Let the vampires drift away by refusing to react. Handling people is the soft skill of the silence strategy. If you can master your social environment, you remove the final friction to your progress. In Chapter 10, we will discuss the grand reveal, how to finally step into the light, and why the best reveal is the one that says the least. Chapter 10, the grand reveal. When to let your results speak for you. The end of the shadow phase. Every journey in the dark must eventually meet the light. You have spent months, perhaps years, in the stealth phase, Chapter 2. You have starved your ego, Chapter 3, re-engineered your environment, Chapter 6, and programmed your subconscious for private excellence, Chapter 7. You have built a fortress of wealth and focus in total secrecy. Now comes the most dangerous moment for the sovereign commander, the reveal. Most people fail at the finish line. They spend a year moving in silence, and the moment they see a hint of success, they explode onto the scene. They post the bank statements, they buy the flashy car, and they shout from the rooftops, "Look at me! I told you I was working on something." In that one moment of weakness, they destroy the very sovereign power they worked so hard to build. They trade their mystery for attention. The grand reveal is not a shout, it is a manifestation. It is the moment where your results become so massive, so undeniable, and so physical that you no longer have to say a single word. Your life becomes the message. The shock and awe of undeniability. There is a profound psychological power in sudden excellence. When you announce your progress every day, the world normalizes your growth. They see you coming, and they have time to build defenses, or worse, become bored of you. But when you move in silence and then drop a finished masterpiece, a completed book, a revolutionary business, a transformed physique, or a new level of wealth, it creates a vacuum effect. The world is forced to rush in to fill the gap of their understanding. They ask, how did this happen? Where did they come from? How did they get so far ahead? This is shock and awe. By letting your results speak for you, you maintain the high ground. You don't have to argue for your worth. You don't have to explain your methods. The result is the proof of work. In 2026, where everyone is a talker, the doer who suddenly arrives is the most terrifying and respected force in the market. The no announcement. Announcement. The most powerful way to reveal your success is to never announce it at all. Instead of saying, "I am now a successful entrepreneur," you simply start living the life of one. Instead of saying, "I've lost 50 pounds," you simply walk into the room with a new body. Instead of saying, "My YouTube channel is blowing up," you simply let the mind boost play in the background of a quiet, high-quality life. This is the passive reveal. It signals that your success is normal to you. If you make a big deal out of your win, you are signaling to the world that you are surprised by it, that you didn't expect to be here. A sovereign commander is never surprised by their success because they saw it every morning in their subconscious programming. Chapter 7. To you, the reveal is just the physical render of a mental reality that has existed for months. Handling the sudden friends. When the grand reveal happens, the social gravity, Chapter 9, will shift. People who ignored you in the dark will suddenly want to be in your light. People who doubted your silence will now call it visionary. The reveal protocol for relationships. Stay grey. Do not change your personality. If you were the grey man, Chapter 8 in the shadows, stay the grey man in the light. The gratitude filter. Look at who stood by you when you were invisible. Those are your sovereign allies. Everyone else is a tourist. No explanations. When people ask how you did it, do not give away the silent strategy. Give them a simple, boring answer. I just stayed consistent and focused on the basics. By refusing to reveal the magic, you keep the mystery alive. You remain a black box. This ensures that your next move, which you are already beginning in silence, will be just as impactful as the last. The successor project, starting the next loop. The biggest trap of the grand reveal is satisfaction. Once the world applauds, the ego tries to take the wheel again. It wants to stay in the light. It wants to retire and enjoy the validation. But a sovereign commander knows that success is a perishable asset. The moment you stop moving in silence, the noise begins to corrode your discipline. The moment of the grand reveal is actually the 0 hour for your next project. While the world is looking at what you just finished, you should already be 10% into what you are starting. Use the resources, the wealth, and the social capital from your first reveal to fund a deeper, darker, and more ambitious stealth phase. This is how you build a legacy of silence. You become a ghost who occasionally leaves behind monuments of excellence, only to disappear again before anyone can catch you. The sovereign signature. As you let your results speak, you develop a sovereign signature. This is the vibe or the quality that people associate with your work. Because you moved in silence, your work isn't influenced by trends or feedback loops. It is pure. People will begin to recognize your signature without you having to put your name on it. This is the highest form of branding. It is the mind boost in its purest form, a product so good it speaks for its creator. Your signature is your silence, your discipline, and your refusal to settle for anything less than undeniable. The peace of the silent winner. There is a specific kind of peace that comes with the grand reveal. It is the peace of knowing that you don't owe your success to luck, hype, or networking. You owe it to the hours in the lab, the 4,000 AM wake-ups, and the information embargo. You can walk through the world with a secret smile. You see the noise, Chapter 1, and you aren't bothered by it. You see the flexing, Chapter 8, and you aren't envious of it. You have internal validation. You have proven to the only person who matters, yourself, that you can command your life. The grand reveal is not for them. It is for you. It is the ceremony of completion for your own character development. Summary of the grand reveal. Don't explode, manifest. Let the physical result be the first time the world hears about your success. The passive reveal. Act as if your success is normal. Avoid the surprise signal. Shock and awe. Use the vacuum effect of sudden excellence to build instant authority. Filter the tourists. Stay loyal to those who were there during your invisibility. Start the next loop. Use the moment of victory to enter your next stealth phase. The secret smile. Carry the peace of knowing your success was engineered, not accidental. Final closing of the silent strategy. You are now equipped with the ultimate weapon for the 2026 economy. You know how to hide your moves, how to build your fortress, and how to arrive with undeniable power. The world is loud. The world is distracted. The world is weak. By choosing silence, you have chosen strength. By choosing focus, you have chosen freedom. By choosing results, you have chosen sovereignty. Go back into the shadows, close the door, start the work. We will see you when the results are ready to speak. This concludes the silent strategy. Your move.